AP Euro Imperialism by Alonzo Biello and Jonathan Georgi. The Five People. The first is Rudyard Kipling. He was an English novelist, wrote about the British soldiers in India. He also wrote The Jungle Book and The White Man's Burden. The White Man's Burden is about the white man colonizing in the Philippines. Here's a picture of Rudyard Kipling. And his book, The Jungle Book. Leopold II was the second king of Belgium. He founded the Congo Free State, which was an area in Africa controlled by Belgium. He told the people of the Congo he would help them but didn't, and he also made a fortune off ivory. He caused the death of 2 to 15 million people that lived in the Congo. Here's a picture of Leopold II. Commodore Perry, also known as Matthew C. Perry, controlled ships in the United States Navy. He served in the Mexican-American War and wanted more intelligent people in the Navy. He was also associated with the open door policy and opened Japan to the West. Here we can see Commodore Perry. The ship that he was the Commodore of. Sun Yat-sen founded the Republic of China. He overthrew the Qing dynasty and served as the provisional president of the Republic of China. He can be seen as one of the greatest leaders of China and developed the three principles of the people: nationalism, democracy, and the people's livelihood. This is a painting of Sun Yat-sen. Henry Stanley. He was a British journalist, also known for his explorations in Central Africa while looking for David Livingstone. He is also known for developing the Congo region. Here's Henry Stanley. Next is the five events. The first event was the Berlin Conference. What it did was it regulated European colonization and trade in Africa. It was organized by none other than Otto von Bismarck and led to high colonial activity in Africa. With the control of Europeans, it eliminated African self-governance. Here's a news clipping of the Berlin Conference. Next, we have the Suez Canal. It was part of the Scramble for Africa, built by Ferdinand de Lesseps, and during its construction, it killed the death of over 120,000 workers due to fatigue, malnutrition, and disease. France and Britain gained financial control of Egypt because they lent money to build the canal and led to Britain gaining control of Sudan. Here's a modern day picture of the Suez Canal. The Treaty of Nanking. It ended the First Opium War and established foreign trade. It caused the Chinese to pay war reparations to the British and also made Hong Kong a crown colony. Here we can see the Treaty of Nanking being signed between the British and the Chinese. The Boxer Rebellion. It was a violent group of Chinese fighters. They opposed Christians and foreign people. They were defeated by the British, however, they were executed by the British if they were suspected of being a boxer. Here we can see a fight between British soldiers and boxers. The Boer War. It was a war between the South African Republic and Britain. The British used the first sign of concentration camps. It was started so the British would have more power in Africa, and it also set up the lines for World War One. Here we can see a group of soldiers. The five ideas. The first one was social Darwinism. It was believed that survival of the fittest was still alive in society and politics. While the rich get stronger, the poor get weaker. Herbert Spencer put Darwin's ideas into social and economic issues, popular during the time of imperialism. Here we can see the one rich getting fatter while the many poor starve. New imperialism versus old. The new imperialism focused on cheaper materials to build more things. They spread the Protestant word through missionaries, and they also developed more modern technology. They focused on colonizing Africa, and the end of new imperialism was due to World War One. Here we can see a European over the continent of Africa. The sun never sets was an idea used for countries with a lot of territory. It was said that a country had so much territory that there was never a spot that had no sunlight whatsoever. It was first used for Spain, then Britain, then America. It originated from Xerxes I of Persia. Here we can see a map of Great Britain and all the land they owned. As we can see, it was in different time zones, and there was never a spot where the sun never touched. The open door policy. It was a concept used for foreign affairs, granted multiple international power equal to China. However, nobody had control of China. Other countries wanted China to let them invest in their country. A scramble for Africa. It was when multiple European countries wanted to colonize Africa. They had various economic and political reasons. They could earn money from the resources they would gain, and colonizing Africa would give them more political power. Here we can see various countries fighting over Africa, including Germany, Belgium, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Holland. The five. Afrikaners. They were an ethnic group that lived in South Africa. They were a group that descended from the Dutch, and they were also missionaries. Today, they can still be found in South Africa. Here, we can see a group of Afrikaners. Fashoda, an imperialist crisis between Britain and France. The France tried to keep Britain out of Sudan, and it took place during the scramble for Africa. It also allowed the French to rise out of Fashoda. India. It was under British control. India was used as a British potential for various materials. India could produce raw materials for the British, and they sold things like textiles. However, India could not compete with British goods. Here's a map of India. The Meiji Restoration was a restoration that restored imperial rule in Japan. It was the beginning of the Meiji period and restored Tokugawa as emperor, and it was caused by attacks on Japan. Here we can see him being emperor again. Opium Wars were disputes over trade. They were between China and the British, and there were two wars. This was because the British wanted to take more out of China. Here's a picture of the fight between the British and the Chinese.